Another video already? And it hasn't even been a week yet? That's right, but guess what? I'm only getting started. If you were here in the last video, I did mention that at the end, I wanted to cover all of the Fox X-Men movies leading up to Deadpool and Wolverine. I will be covering each movie one video at a time. I'll talk a little bit about the story and then about the characters, explaining what I like and don't like about them. Now, there's a lot of movies to cover and we only have a little bit of time because July 26th is right around the corner, baby. So are the rules clear enough? All right, let's get right into it. So the story here is very simple and direct. I mean, for the time this was released, superhero movies were boiled down to action movies just with super people in it. At least that's how I look at it, since I wasn't even born yet at this point. This era was called the pre-Spider-Man era because those movies came out and changed everything, which is so insane to me because I would think that a movie about the X-Men would be the one to do this. I mean, come on, a movie about not one hero, not even two, but a whole team? That's some bold stuff for a time like this. But going back and watching this movie for the first time in almost 10 years, I kind of see why. Ugh. This movie isn't bad, but it's definitely a product of its time. Look, this came out more than 20 years ago, so I'm not gonna sit here and say it looks ugly or anything. It's actually kind of humbling to see this movie compared to the superhero genre now. Now, the X-Men movie has two major things going on. Senator Robert Kelly wanting to push the mutant registration law, which means that all mutants all over the country has to register and be identifiable to the public. And then we have Magneto going against this by wanting to turn the mutant gene on in regular humans, so I guess he can make them mutants too. I don't know. I kind of find this weird because Magneto holds the mutants at such high regards in the comics, and in the beginning of this movie, he even says that they are the future. Him wanting to make humans into mutants just kind of seems a bit weird. Magneto hunts down Rogue, who is being protected by Logan, everyone's favorite mutant, because Rogue's ability is pretty OP. Now here we of course have the X-Men, Professor X, Cyclops, Jean Grey, Storm, and what the hell? Where is everyone? Anyway, Xavier and the X-Men are here to rescue Rogue and with the help of Wolverine stop Magneto, putting a stop to his plan in order to make peace between humans and mutants. So as story goes, I actually like how simple it is. Bad guy doing bad things and good guys want to stop bad guy. My problem lies with the mutant registration thing. You see, with this plot point, I feel like it could have been used in a different way because the X-Men is a superhero team that does stop threats. However, there is always a looming feeling of never being accepted by society. And here you don't really feel that at all. The plot just gets resolved and it never felt like an issue to begin with. But other than that, the story was fine. It wasn't crazy or anything. It was appropriate for the first film. But now let's get into the real nitty gritty. Okay, so in this section of the video, I'm gonna cover Wolverine first. Let's just get him out of the way. Now, in my X-Men 97 video, I explained how Wolverine was used perfectly, meaning that he doesn't have to be the center character of the story. These movies were the one to introduce this idea, and I always found this odd. But for the sake of the video, I feel like he is a little misplaced sometimes. Like, Hugh Jackman isn't doing a bad job by any means, but the writers force him in his fish out of water role that just doesn't make sense for his character. I'm fine with him being the protector with Rogue. That I actually like, because we know Wolverine has a soft side for kids, but having him as the one who wanders around the X-Mansion confused feels a little forced, especially when Xavier talks to him about mutant oppression. Did you guys forget how old he is? I would have actually just replaced him with Rogue in this scene because she is a child who is just coming into her powers versus Logan, who at this point is older than everyone in this movie. Now, I can understand why he was chosen to be the main character. It was most likely due to his popularity, but doing this kind of ruins the rest of the team's roles. I feel like the only characters that don't get outshined are Magneto and Charles, because obviously both of these guys and Logan were the writer's main focus. Everyone else just seems like an afterthought. When it comes to Rogue, it does get a bit complicated though. Guys, remember, this girl's powers is to absorb the life essence of people and gain the mutant's ability for a short period of time. Now, to me, like the rest of the X-Men, she was underutilized. I'm okay with her not being an X-Man yet, because I mean, she's a child. My issue is in the end of the movie. Magneto hooks her up to the machine that is used to turn on mutant genes in humans. He grabs her face, therefore giving her his power of magnetism. Now, this is thwarted by Cyclops finally being useful by shooting Magneto and Wolverine destroying the machine. Now I have a question. Why didn't Rogue just stop the machine? You see my issue here? Now, it's not because she doesn't know how to use others' powers, because she freaking heals herself twice in this movie. Instead of Wolverine being the one that destroys the metal machine, having Rogue do this would have shown us as the viewer her character growth in the movie. All Rogue does is do this face and scream all the time. She is so OP that I can't look at this and just ignore the fact that Rogue can do something to help here. It would have been a great conclusion to the film if this happened, because it would have shown us that maybe in the future, if she trains a bit more, she could become a member of the X-Men, but I don't know, maybe it's just me. She would have been a great addition compared to this sorry ass lineup. Now, in this movie, there is only 3 X-Men before the inclusion of Wolverine. I don't have a problem with there only being 3 because this is the first X-Men movie and the runtime may not be enough for more. The 3 they chose on paper looks pretty nice. You have Jean Grey, who can move things with her mind and also has psychic-like abilities just like Professor X, but has way more potential. Cyclops with his optic beams and just skills and strategy overall, and you know, Storm. That Storm. So I don't know if I'm just picky, but the X-Men here are boring as hell. Let me explain. Let's start off with Jean Grey. In my opinion, these movies never really understood how to use her properly. I've said this before, but in these movies and shows, she is mostly limited to her being the Phoenix, a love interest, or dead. Here is a clear example of this. When she is first shown, I actually got a little bit interested because she was at an important meeting to defend mutant rights. I actually liked this, but after that, her powers are shown to just be ass. I'm not gonna sugarcoat that. She makes things float and can barely use her psychic abilities. And I mean, to what I can understand, she has been under Xavier's wing for a while. I would expect her to use her powers to a somewhat effective level, but no, she only uses her powers in 2 scenes, and in one of the scenes she gets packed up by Toad's spit. They somehow made this guy a formidable opponent. He damn near sold these guys, which is embarrassing. Now, I kid you not, Jean's purpose is to just be someone for Logan to give googly eyes to, and to cause a rift between Logan and Cyclops as a shot to add some sort of drama, which does not work. Cyclops just sucks. Whether you love this movie or not, you gotta say Cyclops is definitely useless here. He barely has a character. All he does is go wherever Xavier wants him to go and worry about Jean. The only useful scene he has is at the end of the movie. Him being the #1 student of Charles also gets stolen by Wolverine in the later films. This is terrible because Cyclops is actually cool as hell, but here we aren't even shown any of his good qualities. He's just an insecure asshole who follows orders. Thanks. Now, I don't have a lot to say about Storm, only because she barely has any lines. What is going on? Storm is supposed to be as close to a god as you can get, and her wisdom goes a long way as well. It's a part of her character, but here she just stands there.
He's just standing there, menacingly!
Her power to control the elements are shown in a way that is kind of underwhelming, and the one cool scene that she does have gets ruined with this line.
Do you know what happens to a toad when it's struck by lightning? The same thing that happens to everything else.
Okay? You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy.
Now let's move on to Professor X and Magneto. I actually like them both the same. We are introduced to them on a pretty basic level, but it's fine for the movie. We are shown that they are at odds with each other only due to what they believe in, but you can clearly see that they respect each other to a certain degree. Both Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen are doing great jobs as these characters, and yeah, we don't really go that in depth with them, but we are still shown who they are and understand their actions. The first scene in this movie to me is the best scene because it perfectly explains Magneto and why he does what he does without telling us. We are shown that he already has seen what prejudice can do if left unchecked, and he believes going on a more violent approach can fix this problem. With Magneto being explained, we are also shown how Xavier is a good opposite. Magneto thinks fear is a good way to fight for mutants, while Charles believes in salvation through peace and hope. We are shown this with the Xavier school. That was a nice way of showing Xavier's more caring approach to this matter by giving a place where mutants can get a safe education as well as have a place where they won't get hurt. That way they can learn how to control their powers and not be a danger to others around them. So yeah, when it comes to this film, even with its flaws, it still manages to be an entertaining movie. Like, you could still have a pretty good time watching this, but you kind of have to look at it with no prior knowledge of the characters. And I'm pretty sure at the time, that was the point. This was before the mega superhero craze really started, and even though I complain a lot about the characters, it doesn't ruin the movie for me at all. When I was a kid, I used to think this movie was so cool, and that's because there wasn't a lot like it at the time. On top of that, it's pretty nostalgic as well, but it by no means makes it a perfect film. And as X-Men movies go, this is kind of like the middle of the road for me. Let me know if you guys agree or not. There are definitely better ones, so if I were to score it, I would give it a 6 out of 10. It's fine. Okay, so now I gotta go watch the second one, so I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.